Hey class, I have two things to show you. First of all, I am getting some text and stuff asking where your peer review grades are. I confess that I forgot to actually make it a little assignment where you shoot me a note and tell me you did it. I have so much grading this week that I have not remembered to go in and go one by one and make sure that everybody's peer review is done. So now the peer review that was due September 30th just has this little thing where it's asking you to shoot me a note. So if you click on it, I put a text box, just say I did it, I did my peer review, and that'll remind me to give you the points. Okay, the next thing is we really have to go over this source sandwich citation thing. I thought I had made it clear, but quite a few people are still not citing sources as per my instructions, so I'm going to see if I can tell you in a different way, and hopefully this is going to click. So first and foremost, you have to read the instructions. It's here. So down here, it tells you the steps to do to integrate sources into your own writing. You write a topic sentence. Immediately before you start using material specifically from the source, whether you paraphrase or quote, you have to cite the source, followed by the year in parentheses. Now, you can cite the author's name, you can cite the name of the actual article. Technically, the first time you cite a source in an essay, you're going to want to fully introduce it, like the writer's full name and the full name of the source. After that, you can just call the writer by his or her last name, and you could shorten a title that's really long. But we're doing narrative style, and what I want you to do is right before you start taking material, I want you to cite the source. Then I want you to quote or paraphrase, only quoting if jazzy. If you want some review on what's jazzy, go to the English 102 handbook, and there's a page there on how to tell if something's jazzy. Only if you're quoting do you end with the page number, not when you're paraphrasing. And the page number has to be formatted like this: parentheses, P period, space, 23, and then the end period goes after that parentheses. It doesn't go inside the quote if you're using a page number. Now this is essential. Comment on the source. That means you as the writer are going back in and either explaining the source, breaking it down, connecting it to something else. It kind of depends on what the essay is doing. Now, when you get into your research papers where you're going to be using multiple sources, let's say you're going to pivot and use another source, you would pretty much do the same thing. Introduce that source by name, use it, etc., etc. With the Coates essay, you're just doing it with one source. I also included a sample. So this sample does exactly what this sort of formula does. Topic sentence: as soon as the writer started using material from the source, they cited it, year in parentheses, paraphrased material, and then commented at the end. I think I cut that out, the last bit of that sentence. Additionally, you have a checklist. And I always, always, always want you to use checklists before you hand in an assignment. All right, I don't know what the hell. If your checklist isn't opening for some reason, shoot me a note. I don't know why this one isn't. It might be just because I'm using Student View as the instructor. Also, I gave you an example of the Coates essay before I assigned the rough draft. You must look at these examples. So for everything in your research project, you're going to be using my former student Duran's work to use as an example. You really cannot go wrong if you carefully read the instructions, use the checklist, and look at the example. So what I want to do now is I want to just look at some paragraphs that came up. The first one's working perfectly, the others not quite so much. So here we have a topic sentence. You want your topic sentence to be general. You don't want to have any specific detail in the topic sentence because it could be construed as plagiarism because you weren't citing yet. So make that topic sentence general, introduce the source, use the source, and then at the end, go in and comment. So this student just kind of went in and sort of made deeper meaning of what redlining ended up being. This next one cited the source properly, but it ended still using material from the source, which means the writer forgot to comment. The reason it's called a sandwich is you're sandwiching source material in between you as the writer. So you as the writer are opening the paragraph with a topic sentence, and then you as the writer are going back in and commenting on the paragraph, on the use of the source at the end. If you are anything like I was in high school, I did a lot of maybe not even understanding what the sources were saying, but kind of tossing them in and thinking, hopefully this sounds good to my teacher. And I was pretty lucky, usually it did. That doesn't fly in college. So in college, you have to absolutely understand all the material that you're going to use when you write an essay, and in part, you demonstrate that when you comment on it. So maybe in high school, we had sources kind of standing on their own, quotes or paraphrase, but we can't do that in college. Okay, let's look at a couple more. So here we have a citation in the first sentence. I don't know what. It's got this comma, it's got the year, I guess that's the page number. Obviously the comma doesn't need to be there, neither does the page number. It also needed a topic sentence first, right? We don't want to open any paragraphs with just the source. And then this actually does look like a comment at the end, so that looks good. Here's something I want to show you. If we had been meeting in class, I would be doing this. I would be using a highlighter. So I would highlight you at the beginning. And then once you use the source, I would make it another color. Like usually I do green, like it's an avocado sandwich. And then go back at the end and highlight it yellow, meaning you as the writer go back and comment. So now it looks like a sandwich if the bread is yellow and the whatever's in the sandwich is green. So this is what you want. You want this to always open with you, immediately cite the source when you start using it, end with you. You don't have to highlight, but actually if you do want to highlight when you're proofreading and you're checking, that would not be a bad idea, making sure that you take the highlighting out. Okay, so we know this needed a topic sentence, it cites the source, it has a comment at the end. So another thing you want to think about is you don't always want to say according to, according to, according to. So there is actually another page in that handbook that will give you some different ways to cite the source, like some different verbs. So instead of saying according to Coates, you can say Coates writes, Coates insists, Coates urges, Coates queries, like all kinds of stuff, so you're not being repetitive. Okay, this one is also a bit baffling. I'm trying to get this to stop. It seems just, anyway. The source is just kind of popped in here, and it's not part of a sentence, and it's popped in here, and it's not part of a sentence. So this is also incorrect. When the source actually started, it looks like this is a topic sentence, and then the source really seems to start here. So you would want to say Coates 2014 writes that. Also make sure that your year is going immediately after the source. You don't want to put the year after the verb. Oh, here's another one. So these don't need to be here. So these random popping in quotes do not need to be throughout. The only time you would recite a source would be if you stopped using the source, you commented on it, and you used an entirely different part of the source. Then you would recite it. The second time you cite a source in a body paragraph, you don't need to use the year, but it also still needs to be a fluid part of a sentence. I think just one more. So this one, the source is cited down here. However, all this stuff came from the article. So if the citation's only happening down here, this ends up being plagiarism. That's why we want to start with citing the source as soon as you start using material from it, whether you quote or paraphrase. Sometimes people are just popping the source in when they quote. You're citing a source for anything you use, whether you're putting it in your own words or not. So similarly, this kind of keeps citing the source throughout. Doesn't need that. Cite the source as soon as you start using it. I mean, as a matter of sort of making the sentence work, you could say Coates discusses just, I would caution you to just cite the source at the beginning, but if you do want to bring them up as part of a sentence, take the year out. But also, this paragraph is missing a comment at the end. All right, I hope that's clear. One more thing I want to do, I just want to show you that handbook if you haven't seen it already. It's at the bottom of the home page. Basically, at the beginning of the semester, I would normally be giving you a handbook that I get copied in the copy center that's just full of like all kinds of handouts I would normally give out. Some that I wrote, some that I took from websites credited. I can't hand you anything because I'm not seeing you in person, so I broke it down on the Canvas page and kind of went through everything I could think of. So how to tell if it's jazzy or not. When you click, some of them have a video, some of them have text. So anytime you're seeing something and you're not sure how to do it, either something I graded or while you're writing, come over here and click on it. Run-ons and fragments. I don't actually teach grammar in English 102, but run-ons and fragments are super common. So if you have them and you want a quick review on what they are and how to fix them, just go to the handbook. All right, get in touch with me if you have questions, and I hope this is helpful. Thanks.